Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Beatrice Hippolyte and this is your world. So let me let you continue.
Yes, that is another topic.
We need to have family.
Yes,
in this society, mother and father.
And God created family. He wanted a strong foundation of the household. And that's the first place the enemy breaks down. He goes into the home. Because if he could get the home separated and broken, he can break the identity of each person in the home, right? Sometimes the girls and boys, they're running to fulfill a need too. Mm-hmm. You see, this is all coming from who's gonna love me? Are you gonna love me here? Are you gonna like me here? Well, if you can't fill me emotionally, fill me physically.
Because what they're seeking for is because it's not present in the household.
Yes, there's an emptiness. It doesn't matter the financial status. This is rich, middle class, poor, all races across the board. This is a universal humanity. Yes.
I'm gonna share that example with you. It was like high school back home. Kids, they go to school. Sometimes they do their own thing. And I will always remember that girl who a group of girls asked her to cut class to go and do something crazy. And to my surprise, the girl looked at the crew right in the eyes and said, "No, I cannot do that to my mother. My mother trusts me. Whatever that I want to do, if it is something my mother knows that is good for me, she will grant me the permission." I didn't have a conversation with my mother to go out school, to go to Forjac with you. I cannot do that to my mother. And each time, the opportunity comes for me to take a good example, I always pull that. You know, I really love when she said, "My mother trusts me."
That's a secure attachment right there.
Exactly.
You can see that.
Exactly.
Yes, she honors her
Exactly.
mother.
So that's why, if we create that safety net for our kids, so even if they go out there, peer pressure can be something. But if you create that trust, that safety net, another child may come to your child and say, "Let's go and do this, let's go and do that." No. I cannot do that to my mom. I cannot do that to my father, because they know that, hey, in this house, whatever that is going on, they can come and have a conversation and they will not be judged. So it's very important.
It's so needed.
I feel that society needs to recalibrate.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Hippolyte. And this is one of the places that society needs to focus on recalibrating, because relationships is the key to everything in life. It impacts how we make decisions. Oh, what job am I going to go for? What do I want to be when I grow up? But all of this is based on how we're relating to one another, right?
Exactly.
So we want to have this foundation that, you know what? You're worthy. You're valued to me. You have self-worth. Oh, I forgot. I think it was Frederick Douglass that said, "It is easier to repair a child than to fix broken men."
And I know
it's Frederick Douglass that said that.
And it's a very powerful statement. And I can see where it's coming from.
Yes.
They're fresh in the mind. They're fresh in the brain. It's easier to redirect, recalibrate, reshift it.
Yes. And you see, with children, the brain is still developing, like you're saying. So we can create new neural pathways so that they can find new ways of learning. And the adults can learn too. But he said it's easier to repair a child than to fix a broken
Because bear in mind, the child at a very early age, they are what you are feeding them.
Yes.
But a man who's already a man, look at myself now, who's already my age. I don't want to tell people my age. But I'm pretty sure some of them already did the math. They figure it out already. So myself who's my age, so it's hard.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
and you know what?
Can't teach an older dog new tricks. It's
No,
harder.
and whatever that I was like, I'm comfortable and I want to live by, the older I get, the more intensified
Yes.
those behaviors gonna
Yes.
become.
Yes.
So if I was like, like a hard-headed person,
Yes.
so the older I get, it's not gonna get,
Thank you, Dr.
so it's
Hippolyte.
gonna increase.
Thank you, Dr. Hippolyte. Yes. That mindset is hard to change because the core belief, it's going to take a lot of work.
Exactly.
Because this is like in the subconscious. So that's what's great with children, that we can teach them new ways of adapting, new ways. And that's why they say, one of the things that they say is great in the school system is when the teacher is like it can be a role model. A lot of kids say, I made who I am today, I became who I am today because of the teacher, what I saw in the school. Or I became who I am today because that teacher took time to spend time with me. Well, we in the mental health profession, we also are powerful assets in humanity.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, indeed.
And so, we have the ability to speak life into those children, into that adult, But the thing is that we have to also come with that mindset that, is that person dealing with an insecure attachment? Maybe not. Or is there a trauma? And that that's a whole nother time. We're just talking about relational trauma. I'm not even talking about the ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, which, Dr. Beers, I am a survivor of an adverse childhood experience. So I have my own trauma that I survived and overcame. We're not even talking about that category of trauma.
So now you already know how many times that you will have to come back to the show.
Yes, no problem. We're only focusing on the one part, which is the relational trauma. Okay, so let's go to disorganized attachment now.
Yeah.
Now, disorganized attachment. This is the
Because I have 4 questions for you after that.
Okay, this is the last type of attachment style, but it's the third insecure attachment style. This disorganized attachment style, this one really illustrates maternal deprivation, because in this home, the caregiver is the one that is abusive. Okay, for example, the child can grow up in a home where there's domestic violence, where the parent is very abusive. The parent appears very frightening to the child, right? And so that child internalizes, I'm not safe. This is an unsafe, dangerous place. That child also starts to, because the parent is continuously abusive, that child now is saying, I'm unlovable. I'm unlovable. They hate me. So this child now, their identity, they grew up with this, I'm hateful, I'm unlovable. So now this is the child that can be the bully in the school.
Or the bully, the antisocial down the road by the time they by the time they turn 18. So conduct behaviors by the time they 8 or 12.
Conduct. So, they're the child that's hitting in the school. They're hitting people. They're fighting with people. They
don't respect
control
boundaries.
People. They don't
have
boundaries.
respect for adults.
No, and they seek relationship. They want to try to be friends with people, but they have such a mistrust that you're gonna hate me, and so let me control you to come into my life. Right? Let me control you. This is one of the generations.
Because that to them, so it's like, in order for me to have a relationship with you, I have to be the leader. I have to have you under control.
Yes.
If I cannot have you under control, you're gonna leave me.
Yes.
So when I have you under control, I'm gonna make you afraid of me.
Oh,
you're gonna, create that fear in you.
Yes.
So it's like that. You constantly have to surrender. It's sad, and believe it or not, we've seen, many of them into our society.
Yes.
And even, many of them, you see them even in jail, I've heard. You know, when people tell you the stories about, people in jail or kids they have in jail, so and you look, you find to understand what the relationships were with that child prior incarceration, and they'll tell you, I raised that child alone. The father was never around, or the mother died, so I had to raise that child with somebody else. It's always something. And so, for whatever reason, the stepmother, she was not welcomed by the stepmother, or I had that child while I was married, so I had that child outside of marriage, and that child was not welcome into my household. So it's a whole complication.
Yes.
And
it's called complex trauma.
And unfortunately, so it's like, who's ended up being the victim?
Yes. Who is the victim? The child. And that child is growing up victimized as an adult. One of the things I want to say this is that we want you to stop that victim mentality. That's why we're having this conversation today. Because that person walking around with that victim mentality, they walking around with a weight, always like a weight on them. This is a spiritual oppression. It's not only a mental oppression, but it's also spiritual. And in terms of faith, the enemy wants you to stay locked in that mental prison. He wants you to stay in. You have they call it an orphan spirit. Like you're a spirit. Nobody wants me. I'm an orphan, and he wants you to stay in that mindset. And then so here we are dealing with the physical and the spiritual. This is like heavy. And so people are walking around. I've been physically, mentally put down, unwanted, felt unlovable, and then the enemy wants that to stay in your life and our life. So he purposely says, you're not worthy. You remember what your mother and father said? You remember how you was treated? How can you think you could be better than that?
In that way, what can I expect from you? It's gonna be madness, all the times.
Yes, but we know we serve a God that can break that madness, that can break that mentality. That's why one of the scriptures say, take every negative thought and bring it onto the dominion, subdue it under Christ. Because there's some things that this is spiritual warfare, spiritual battles. Okay, so on one level, there's a spiritual battle going on in our head that we're trying to say, am I worthy? And then we have to deal with the real life experience, the psychological battle. So this is how we say faith is combined with psychology, mental health.
And to those who normally ask themselves that question, am I worthy? So what will be your answer to them today?
Number one, yes, you are worthy. You are worthy. Listen, in Ephesians 2:10, the Bible says that you are God's masterpiece. So it's so important. There are some things that you have to be intent. When we're talking about one of the ways to heal from relational trauma, you have to be intentional to say, I have to break this mindset. I cannot be the product of my parent or my caregiver, what they said who I am. We have to find new ways of identifying who you are. First of all, you are a child of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You are a child of Christ.
So now you want me to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to be my father child, or I don't want to be my mother child.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be. You have the ability, you and I have the ability to recreate an identity that we were made to coexist with people and live in healthy, abundant relationships. That is how the Lord created us, right? That's why this is called trauma, because we were all created to have secure attachments. But unfortunately, life circumstances, generational cycles of poor attachment, learned behavior that was not appropriate, lack of knowledge, right? We don't know any better. But now you're gaining knowledge to know better. And as you gain knowledge to know better, then you have the power to intentionally say, I am worthy. I deserve. We have to say it. I deserve to have a healthy relationship. I deserve to understand that I am considered a person of self-worth. When you start to put this into your mindset and into your spirit, you automatically, your spiritual and your eyes, the mindset starts to change.
And you deserve to be loved and loved.
You deserved it. You deserve it. And you have to forgive those who hurt you, because
Very
you don't want to
important.
carry the bitterness.
Oh,
that bitterness is not going to unlock the doors of...
That will not take you anywhere.
Right. You're going to stay in that mental prison.
This is one mentality that I always have about forgiveness. And sometimes people may think, oh, you're easy to forgive people. I don't think I'm easy to forgive people. I just love myself.
That's right. That's right.
So because I know at the end of the day, I may choose not to forgive Dr. Hains, but it's two things. Dr. Hains may not even know that, I have that tightness inside for her.
Yes.
Another thing, you may know, and you say, who cares?
That's right. That's right.
You walking with it, I don't care attitude toward whatever that is
continue to hurt
burning inside.
Yeah,
and you're
going to continue to attack you.
So because I love myself that much, so I don't feel the need to keep, my heart is not a cage.
That's right.
I'm not keeping anybody, so it's like keeping you in a cage inside of me.
Yes.
No, so forgiveness is like, I'll set you free.
Yes. Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if I don't forgive you, whatever that you did to me, I will never be able to grow. I will never be able to experience or enjoy life and new things. Walking free, I will never be able to embrace the love of other people. Sometimes you have other people trying to embrace you, to love you for who you are.
Yes.
To be there for you. You have everything blocked.
Yes.
Forgive. The first person that you have to forgive is yourself.
Yes.
Yes,
have compassion towards self. So forgive yourself.
Forgive yourself so you can be able to expand that forgiveness to other people.
Yes.
Set yourself free.
Yes. Walk in the freedom. Let it go. It's not an overnight process. It's a process.
It's a process.
But you can let it go. I know I had to let it go, because when you carry that bitterness, this is where when we talk about the ACEs study in trauma, they say...
And after I forgive you, Dr. Hains,
yes,
I don't need to be friends with you.
Oh, thank you.
You don't need to be coming to my house, and I don't need to go and have breakfast with you.
That's right. I'm forgiving you to release the pain and the anguish and the bitterness inside of me.
Yeah.
Whether or not you don't even have to receive the forgiveness. Whether you receive my forgiveness.
If you receive it, so it's a good thing.
But
if not,
I choose to,
but I know I set myself free.
Right. I forgive you and I let it go, because then now I took away your power over me.
Well said.
I took away your power because you were controlling me. You were controlling how I interact with you, how I interact with other people. This is why they say that blueprint is based on our experiences. So that child is relating to everybody based on those experiences, right? And so this is the power that's controlling them. That's why sometimes they say in the field of psychology and mental health that sometimes, you have skeletons in your closet. Well, I say, okay, I got skeletons. I got to go open the door. I'm not ready to deal with that skeleton. I'm not ready to deal with that bone. This is why I like to talk about faith. Because one of the scriptures in Ezekiel, one of the stories in Ezekiel, when God says, Ezekiel, son of man, can these dry bones live? And he said, I don't know, God. I don't know. Can they? He said, prophesy to them. These dry bones can live. So when I started to see that, I was like,
because
let me go to skeleton in my closet.
Words have power.
Words have power. I went to my skeletons in my closet. I opened the door. I said, you're going to live. You're going to come out. I'm not going to live in this mental prison anymore. And so this is what I'm saying about being intentional. And they say one of the important things is you can't do this by yourself. You have to be with people to deal with this attachment. Healing comes through attachment. But now you're healing and attaching with the right type of people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
It's a journey that you cannot do alone.
You cannot do it alone because you're not meant to do the isolation. That isolation, we want to break that pattern of relational, that insecure, negative relational pattern. But then now we have to put ourselves out there with our vulnerability and say, I've been hurt. I have emotional and relational trauma. I need to learn how to trust. I need to learn how to build with the right type of people. And so, we'll talk about the types of healing. Well, let me let you.
Oh, so you ready for my questions?
I'm ready because we kind of touch base on so many things. I'm telling you, we could talk forever.
No, I enjoyed the conversation. So it's it's beautiful. I like the way it's going.
This concludes my
presentation.
My presentation on childhood relational trauma. Yes. Dr. Hippolyte, when that person learns a new way, because you see, what we're doing here is giving people hope that they can reorganize how they see themselves. So you have to we're helping you to change your mental picture of yourself. That mental picture that you have of the little girl and boy inside of you, that little girl and boy inside of you needs to be set free. That's why I love when you said, I have to forgive myself first. Right? So we need to be set free. That little girl and boy needs to be set free. They need to be released. They need to be nurtured and said, you didn't do anything wrong. You are precious. You are loved. Now as an adult, you've made some decisions based on that childhood experience. So now you have to take responsibility for that part.
Yeah, because my father used to be a violent person. My father used to beat my mother all the time. And as a child, I'm just saying that as an example.
Yes.
I never experienced that.
Yes, because we were talking about the disorganized child who's unlovable in a domestic home.
It's just an example, not a personal experience.
Right.
Because my father used to beat my mother, or he used to be very violent, and I witnessed that every day.
Yes.
When I become an adult, I don't need to put my hands on my partner.
And that tends to be the tendency sometimes.
So it's like, and I've heard people said it, oh, you know what, I have to discipline that girl. No, that girl is an adult. So it's a partner that you have in your life, or that man is a partner that you have in your life.
Yes.
I understand that person, your partner may do certain things that you don't go in line with. You may not be in approval of, but at the end of the day, always respect that person as an adult. If the relationship can continue, then we find ways to address whatever situation that needs to be addressed and keep on moving.
Yes.
But if the relationship cannot go, any further, just have a conversation and call it a day.
Yes.
So you don't have the right to put your hand on your partner for whatever reason, just because your father used to do it to your mother used to do it to your father. No, now as an adult, so you are capable to make your own decision.
Yes.
And so, like I always tell people, whatever decision that you make in life, that decision is yours. And whatever decision that you make in life will come with consequences.
Yes.
Always remember that.
Yes. And even seeking help comes with consequences, right? But the consequences are beneficial to us. And so you have the ability now to say that I want to have a different type of relationship. I want to have a healthy, secure attachment. I don't want to live in the insecure attachment style anymore, right? So that is so critical, that we have the right to make a choice.
Yes. The first questions I have for you, Dr. Hains, is how does relational trauma shape someone's sense of self and identity?
Yes, yes. This is a very wonderful question because it is so pertinent. Well, like I was talking about before, how this person identity is shaped because during the developmental years, this child, again, is interpreting the bonding style, is interpreting how my self-worth is based on my relationship with my caregiver, with my parent, right? And so John Bowlby, he called that, it's an implicit relational knowledge. It's something that's like in the subconscious. It's like something that is absorbed in our subconscious, right? And so now we've taken on that blueprint, that subconscious knowledge that I am. We talked about it. I am who I was told I am. I am who I was based on how I was treated or how I was seen, right? These people with the insecure, they start to develop defenses, like you were saying, defenses where I will control you to keep you with me, or everything I do is to protect me from being hurt. So even the defenses that I utilize is to keep me from being hurt. So here comes my identity. This is who I am. I become this person that I'm always trying to, and this is insecure attachments, I'm always trying to protect myself. I'm always trying to make sure that I don't get hurt, but I still get hurt, and I hurt others.
Because, it's like in your head, that's, that it's all about your own security.
Yes.
The intention, while you're trying to protect yourself, you may never had, any intention to hurt other people.
Yes.
But by doing it the way that you're doing it, the methods that you will be using can be harmful to other people.
Yes.
So that's why oftentimes people will see you as being selfish. And say, you know what, it's always all about you.
And that's because that person is trying to be about me. Because I wasn't about me when I was little.
Yes.
You see that? I wasn't seen as me when I was little. So now I need to act in ways that it could be about me so I could protect me. I need to be safe and secure.
And to many, it doesn't matter even if they have to be that bully.
It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, I will control so that you can't hurt me, like you said.
Exactly.
I will control so that I could be protected. Because if I don't control, then you're going to control me and hurt me like mommy and daddy did when I was little.
Yeah, and now as a grown person, I refuse for that to continue.
Yes.
It is unfortunate. So my second question, how does relational trauma impact a person's ability to form and maintain healthy attachment?
The connection to the caregiver, right? Because relational trauma, it's an automatic response. So it's not even like the person is like thinking like, I'm going to do this way. It's an automatic. It's like an automatic response that just happens. So when the person has a strong sense of self, let's use the example, a strong sense of self, you're not judging others. That person with the secure attachment, when relational trauma is impacting somebody, that strong sense of self doesn't exist. The memories of the negative style, the maltreatment, the memories of the maltreatment has lifelong effects. These individuals, like for example, the anxious avoidant child, this person is an adult that when they shut off their feelings during a conflict, right? I'm being ignored. So this automatic response, I'm being ignored. I'm going to shut down, right? Here it is. When I'm relating to other people, now I feel, because I keep putting all these defenses, now this relational trauma impacts me where I'm lonely. I feel lonely. I feel unsupported. But my defenses is what pushes people away. Because I'm so busy trying to protect myself, and I'm so busy trying to make sure that I get the love, but I do use wrong methods, like you say, then now I'm left lonely, or I'm left compromising in negative relationships just to have somebody near me. Like, so.
Because even if I try to be of assistance to you, but because you are so guarded into that condition, you cannot even see or understand that all I'm trying to do is to be of assistance to you.
You can't.
And the fact that you are approaching me or addressing me that way, so all you basically do is like pushing me away.
Yes, because it's an automatic response. It's not like the person is conscious about it. That's one of the things in therapy where you have to bring this automatic way of relating to people. You bring that into your consciousness. You let that person understand, based on what you're saying, this is how you're relating to people. Oh, but this is the only way I knew how. Well, let's learn new ways, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why when we talked about children, their brain doesn't fully develop until 26 years old, right? So we can teach them new ways, but the adult who's already 26 past, they have to learn new ways to relate to people. So this relational trauma, it impacts every area of the person's life. Even, and one of the most key areas is your decision-making skills, mm-hmm. how you make decisions, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's why, it's very important in therapy, we were taught to use more like open-ended questions.
Yes.
Because that's how you're gonna have a better understanding, where the patient can elaborate more on the situation. Sometimes the more information you have, the better understanding that you will have of that situation.
Yes.
And again, myself as a therapist, I always like to dig into the problem until I reach the root, because I cannot treat a problem just based on the surface.
Yes.
If I don't go deep down to the root of the problem.
Yes. And I'm going to take it a step further, where in the faith, when we use spirituality, the soul is also bruised from relational trauma, because they say in psychology we're mind, body, and soul, or spirit, and so mind, body, soul, and spirit. So this internal bleeding, like you said, we internalize the trauma, the scars. These are psychological wounds from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
It's inside that person is bleeding in the soul, right? And so when we speak from a psychological about building connections, also from the spiritual, that we learn that God sent his only son to die for us. Mm-hmm. That's how important we are to him. That's how much we have value. That's how much we have self-worth, right? And so it's like we're saying to ourselves, I have to change my pattern of how I see myself so I can relate to others. I have to change my pattern. So when you're saying you have to change your pattern now, you are taking power back from, like we just said, all of that history. You are taking the power to say, it's going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy.
But you are saying, I'm worth that type of work now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth it. I'm worth it. And that's what we want you to know today, that you are worth it.
No, and like I mentioned earlier, be the author, who has the full power to write every single chapters of your life.
Yes, you're rewriting your narrative.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's one of the things in psychology and health healing. We have to rewrite our story. We have to rewrite our narrative, right? And when we talk about our faith, we rewrite the tragedies that we went through too, because the Word of God says that I'm giving you a new mindset. And so here we need to incorporate a new mindset. And then I'm putting away these old glasses that I had that I saw myself, and I'm putting a new pair of lenses. Now I see myself in a way that I'm not unwanted. I have value. Now I can start to let me see how that looks like. Let me see how a secure attachment looks like, so that I can copy and model and incorporate that and internalize that now as my being of how I relate. So we're learning.
Not only on how you will it, but you will have that open mind and willingness to embrace the love.
Yes.
Yes. Of other people.
I'm learning how to accept love. And I'm learning how to love others.
Oh, exactly.
So this is a process that you have to be patient with yourself, but you have to be intentional. One of the books I love, and one day, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he talks about how trauma, he says the body keeps score. The body remembers trauma.
Oh, yes.
Even if you try to forget it in the mind, why do people have heart disease sometimes? I went to a webinar, a training, and the man who was giving the training said he was with this world-renowned, like this heart surgeon that's known all over the world. And he said about 75% of his surgeries, people have heart issues just because of stress. It's not even real. It could have been avoided.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that. Recently, I had an episode with Mr. Bonham, but he mentioned something on the show which I didn't know before. And according to what he said he read an article where in that article, so they mentioned, I don't remember the percentage that he gave, but most people who experience heart attack, it's like on Sunday morning before they go to work on Monday due to workplace toxicity.
Yes. You see, and workplace harassment, it's relational. Because either management is mistreating you or you're getting mistreated from a coworker.
Or that can be you bring your own unresolved issues into the workplace.
Yes. And all of that, what Dr. van der Kolk says is that the organs in the body, the systems, the brain system, one of the major research that's coming out now is body-based psychotherapy. Dr. Stephen Porges talks about the polyvagal theory, where how the vagus nerve is reacting to trauma. And the vagus nerve is almost like it becomes sick. And now different parts of our body is sick.
And you know what that will do? Because the body is a whole. I had a biologist on the show a couple weeks ago. We spoke about Alzheimer. And one thing that he mentioned, he said, all those stress, trauma, and depression, when they're not being addressed appropriately, they're all gonna have an impact in your brain. And before you even know it, you know what you're gonna end up dealing with? Alzheimer. Alzheimer, that used to be an old people disease from the age 65 to what have you. Now you have people, who in the 40s or 50s diagnosed with Alzheimer. So, and I think that's where, I'm gonna stop. So we may not have time for the other two questions. But before we let everybody go, so what is your last thought?
I want to say this, that healing takes place. Most importantly, that we recommend healing for relational trauma through attachments. We want to build a healthy attachment, secure attachments. If you can, join a community, because community is very important for healing in relational trauma. Community is important. You cannot do anything in isolation. So because trauma lives in the body, one of the things that is important, dancing. They say doing Tai Chi, yoga, because movement. Remember when the baby is in distress, the mom picks up soothing? So we need to bring soothing to the body. We need to calm our bodies because the trauma is keep living in the body and our body is in hyperarousal. So we need to self-regulate and we need to learn to co-regulate together. This is one of the key ways to find healing through trauma. And so joining a community, dancing together, doing creative arts together, doing karate, tai chi, these are things that, number one, you're using your body.
What about listening to music? Does that help too?
I was gonna say, listening to music, singing, right? Because, you know, we believe in worship music. Worship music, and you dance, and it releases the toxins in the body, but we need to find healthy, and what you put in, what type of music too.
Definitely.
Right? So healing, there's healing through community, through attachment, through music, body-based movement, creative arts, singing. All of this helps to move the body, and then as I'm moving the body, I'm learning how to calm down, deep breathing, mindfulness, and then I'm learning also how to regulate with you. So, but we have to, there's more to talk about in the future.
Yeah, my darling.
And the Lord Jesus, He's the key regulator.
Yeah, we cannot live without that man in our lives.
The Bible's the number one book to
I
read.
respect for those who say they don't believe in,
my
you know,
gosh.
I respect,
how to do it without him.
I respect that, but my life, I will not be anything.
All the way with Jesus.
You know,
all the way with Jesus.
If that man was not the centerpiece of my life.
He gives us wisdom.
So
we're having this conversation because of His wisdom.
My darling, it seems that you and I can talk.
Yes.
And like
I didn't even drink. I was so enjoying talking.
They normally said, in every good thing,
there comes to an end.
Okay, so this is the end of our show. So it was a pleasure to have Dr. Tatiana Hains with us. Of course, she's gonna come back. I haven't seen you in ages.
I didn't even feel like we're having a show. I just feel like we're talking. Speaking life
with your beautiful and baby face.
Thank you. You're my beautiful sister.
It was with you all, Dr. Beatrice Hippolyte, with your world.